Good morning, Year 6.
Morning,
Today is
guys.
Tuesday. All right, our joke. Oh, Mr. Martin,
Oh.
go back to our joke. Why are sports stadiums always so cool? Because they're filled with fans. Ha.
Well, not at the moment, though.
No, well, it's a little bit funny.
Yeah, a little bit funny.
A little bit funny.
It'd be funnier when we can all go back and watch the Panthers lose to the Gold Coast Titans at Penrith Stadium.
Not sure that's going to happen, Mr. Martin, but you can keep dreaming.
I can dream.
All right, let's move on to our literacy contract. So again, it's trying to make sure we're getting our STAR tasks done. Remember, if you are reading today with your teacher, you just have to do one activity, just like you would in the classroom. Just making sure you're filling out that doc and handing it in each day so that your teacher can get that marked and keep a track of what's happening. Moving into our shared reading. Our shared reading today is just listening to what Mr. Martin and I are saying, and we're going to have a bit of a discussion. And this is then to help you with your writing moving forward. So Mr. Martin and I are just going to have a bit of a discussion in terms of our high jumpers. So I
think what we're looking today, Mr. Moore, we're looking at our introduction as well, because it's a little bit different when we're doing a news article. It's not like we have like a set introduction and body paragraphs and then a conclusion. Because they're broken up into different sections or different subheadings, usually we have different like mini sort of introductions in each different section that we're talking about where different information starts to change.
That's right. So we're going to have a look at the first part of the introduction. Now, remember heading is called, what's the heading called again, Mr. Martin?
It's called High
Jumpers Heal the World. And other Olympic highlights. So they're going to talk about the high jumpers and also going to talk about about other Olympic highlights. So we'll just move to that first section. Can't hardly call it a paragraph. So it talks about the Tokyo Games was teeming with Olympic spirit even before the moment that sportsmanship became more important than winning. So this section has got nothing to do with the heading. So the heading was about high jumpers. It hasn't talked to us about high jumpers yet. It's giving us a very broad statement about the Olympic spirit and how it was teeming. Well, can Olympic spirit really teem? It's not really teeming. That's personification. So it's giving the Olympic spirit a human quality. So it's not really teeming. It's just, there is just a lot there. It's very obvious that it's there. So this section, I want to keep calling it a paragraph, Mr. Martin. It's not a paragraph, it's a section.
Not quite a different section.
Yes, this section is really talking to us about how that sportsmanship is more important than the actual winning process. And then they're going to go into more detail about that in our next section where they're talking about the high jumpers.
Yeah, because it funnels down almost, Mrs. Moore, doesn't it? It starts out very broad, telling us that the Olympic spirit was very obvious in the games and that sportsmanship in some moments has become more important than winning. And then it funnels down into the finer part, and that's where it kind of relates more to the heading about high jumpers heal the world. So as you can see here, this paragraph reads, in the men's high jump final, Qatar's Mazza Essa Barsham and Italy's Gianmarco Tamberi made the stunning decision to share the honour, opting to tie for first place, meaning both men were awarded the coveted, sought after gold medal. So like that part there, it starts out very broad and then it starts to funnel down into a little bit more about what this section is going to be about.
And it relates to that first part where it's talking about sportsmanship and the Olympic spirit. So these men decided that it was more important to share in that sportsmanship, share that gold medal rather than one losing and one getting a gold and one getting a silver. So they decided that sportsmanship, that Olympic spirit was more important than winning.
And the author's done a really good job, I think, in those first sections, Mrs. Moore, of starting out quite broad about what the main article is going to be about. And then they funneled it down into a bit more specific. So they tell us a little bit more about what this next part's going to be about and how the high jump actually worked and how they ended up sharing their gold medal.
They get into the nitty gritty of it, of the facts and the details.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think what we might do, we might go down to the next section as well and have a look, because they've done it a couple times. Because something that's really important when we're looking at news articles is that they usually have these little bits of subheadings. So subheadings are like, little bits of information that break up and tell us what different sections of their news article is about.
Yeah.
So now they're talking about, so what happened? They're going to give us a little bit more information about how did these two people end up sharing a gold medal? So they can see here, a jump off can occur when there is a tie, as happened Sunday night. It results in the bar being lowered to the previous height both jumpers cleared. Each athlete gets one jump, and the bar is alternately lowered and raised to different heights each time until the first person fails to clear the bar. So what they're doing there is they're using that introductory sort of like section here to give us a little bit more context, a little bit more information about what actually happened. And it relates directly to what the subheading is. It tells us exactly, so what happened? We're wondering what actually happened in this high jump final. That introductory paragraph sets up what the rest of this text is going to be about for this section here, giving us more information about what happened in the actual jump.
And then, Mr. Martin, in the heading, it talked about and other Olympic events, I think it was called. So as we scroll down, they start talking about Peter Bol. And so the bolt is on for Aussie Peter Bol. And so again, they've given us a bit of an introduction. Meanwhile, and then we go into another, maybe I might read that part to him. Meanwhile, commentary great Bruce McAvaney has taped Aussie Peter Bol as a genuine gold medal hope with the legs to Australia's 53-year drought in the 800-metre final. So again, we've got a bit of an introduction to who Peter Bol is and why what he's going to do is in the Olympic spirit and why it's so important. And then they go into detail about what he's actually done in that 800 metres. So again, I've got a bit of an introduction within my news article because I've got a new subheading.
And like you said, Ms. Moore, and it is directly related to that subheading.
Yeah.
It's almost like that subheading sets it up, sets the scene. You kind of get a little bit of information on what it's going to be about. Then the introduction goes into it a little bit more and introduces the topic to you. And then they start to go into the nitty gritty details as you go further along these different sections. Same thing here with Italy. So incredible Italy win the 100 meters in global game changer. We start to get an indication. We probably know it's probably going to be about Italy winning the 100 meter final. The excitement reached its peak Sunday night with a gripping 100 meter men's final. With no obvious favourite waiting for the starter gun, the gold medal was won by a Ferrari-like flash by Lamont Marcel Jacobs in a huge night for Italy. Once again, like I said before, that introductory paragraph sets up what the rest of this section is going to be about. It's going to tell us about how Italy won the 100 meter final. And it's also directly linked to that little subheading there as well.
And I did notice that they're telling us the time that they ran in and things like that. So they're giving us the facts, how old he is. They're probably going to tell us what his qualifying time was, all that type of information. So it's really just a quick blurb, but not to the extent that a normal introduction is. You can see they're just one sentences often for this, for a news article. And you can see that the language that they're using is really trying to hook in us as readers. They're using personification. Sometimes they're using alliteration. They're even with a gripping 100 meter final. Well, it can't grip. What was gripping? Our eyes were the thing that was gripping to the TV. But again, our eyes can't grip. It's just giving us that personification. It's telling us how important it is. Yeah. Ferrari-like flash. So they're using some
alliteration there. Same as in the title there, Incredible Italy. They're trying to use that alliteration of using that same letter, that same sound to try and get the reader hooked.
That's
keep
exactly.
them entertained.
Okay, so I hope you understand that a little bit more, Year 6. That was a bit of a shared reading lesson, just identifying how those introductions happen within a news article text.
Yeah, and in those different sections as well. So it's almost like each different section that you guys have, you have like your own little mini introduction to introduce that section.
And so you'll start your introduction probably more, I think that's on tomorrow on Wednesday.
Introductions tomorrow.
Yeah. So moving into our writing, today we're going to just continue to work on your ideas, your facts, just any feedback that us teachers have given you from Monday. We want you to think about those and work on them for today on Tuesday, and just getting it ready so that you can start that introduction as we're discussing in our shared reading lesson from just before this one.
Yeah, and like we said, guys, just try and get as much information, as much facts, as many quotes. You can use videos, you can use different articles, you can use news reports, whatever you want to try and get that information from, to try and help make your news article as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
So maths for today, we're going to be continuing to look at capacity. So yesterday you guys did a little bit of work looking at capacity and converting between milliliters and liters, or liters and milliliters. Today we're going to be looking at finding the capacity of different objects around your house. So what you'll need to do is that you'll need to go to the next slide. So I've actually created a little bit of an example for you. So I found a delivery parcel box in my house. First thing you need to do is you need to estimate what the capacity of that object is going to be. So I said it's going to be 1,200 milliliters or 1.2 liters. I then used something to measure. So I used measuring tape. If you guys have got a measuring tape or a ruler or something, measure the dimensions of your box or of your shape that you're going to do. After you've done that, you guys will need to find the volume of that box, because finding the volume of that box will then help you convert it into the capacity. Because what we need to remember is something really important, is that 1 cubic centimeter of space is the equivalent of 1 milliliter. It takes up 1 milliliter's worth of space. So in this box here, when I measured it and multiplied everything, there was actually 4,080 centimeters cubed in that space. So I converted that. I had a look. So if I've got 4,080 cubic centimeters, that means that I've got 4,800 milliliters that could go into that container, or 4.08 liters. So what you will need to do is that you'll need to go through, you will need to find objects. Hopefully you'll find some rectangular prisms, put them into there, estimate their capacity, measure their dimensions, find their volume, and then use that volume to convert it into their capacity and how much liquid they could hold.
Now remember, you take 30 minutes to do your math. So if you don't fill out that table, that is fine. As long as you're doing 30 minutes worth of maths, that's okay.
Yep, correct. And then the last thing for today is that you guys will have music, or I think it's music or drama, whatever you guys are doing with Mrs. Harmon at the moment. Mrs. Harmon will put everything up at 11:30. It will go up at 11:30, so you guys don't need to stress. Don't need to keep asking whether work is early. It will go up at 11:30 a.m. And then you guys can do it after that.
All right. Thank you, Year 6. Have a great day.
Thanks, Year 6.